She broke barriers on screen and paid the price off it. Diahann Carroll wasn't just the first black woman to lead a primetime TV show in a non-stereotypical role. She was elegance personified, intelligence unfiltered, and confidence that rattled the industry. While the world clapped politely, Hollywood kept its distance. She didn't play a maid, she didn't shuffle, she stood tall, spoke boldly, and wore luxury like it was her birthright. And for that, they never truly forgave her. This is the story of a woman who opened doors for generations to come, but had to fight every step of the way to be seen as more than a symbol. Did Diahann Carroll challenge the system too directly, too early, and get punished for it? Let's unpack the quiet resistance Hollywood gave to its first true black leading lady. Born in the Bronx in 1935 and raised in Harlem, Diahann Carroll's early life was far removed from the spotlight. But even as a child, she carried herself with grace and purpose. She studied at the High School of Music and Art and later at New York University, mastering both classical voice and dramatic acting. Early on, Carroll made it clear she wasn't aiming for the sidelines. During the 1950s, black actresses were typically cast in maid roles or as nameless extras. Carroll changed that. She landed a role in Carmen Jones, 1954, an all-black musical that was rare for its time. While her singing voice was dubbed, her on-screen presence was unforgettable. That same presence followed her into Porgy and Bess, where she played a woman of style and substance, not servitude. She began to create a new archetype, the sophisticated, unapologetic black woman. Her beauty and elegance were undeniable, but her ambition made studio heads nervous. She wouldn't shrink herself to fit Hollywood's comfort zone, and that marked the beginning of a career that would both dazzle and disturb the status quo. When Julia premiered in 1968, America was in upheaval. The civil rights movement had shaken the foundation of the country. Amid that tension, Carroll debuted as Julia Baker, a widow, a nurse, and a single mother living in a middle-class apartment. This wasn't a maid or a sassy neighbor. This was a multi-dimensional black woman, portrayed with dignity and warmth. The show was a revelation. Carroll became the first black woman to star in a primetime network series where her role wasn't defined by race or stereotype. But the reaction was complicated. Time magazine called it a quiet revolution. Others criticized it for not being political enough. Some black critics argued that it ignored systemic racism by portraying a too perfect world. But Carroll knew the power of representation. "We're not representing perfection," she said. "We're representing possibility." Behind the scenes, she pushed for creative control. She challenged scripts that softened her character's voice. She refused to play grateful. And in doing so, she reshaped what it meant to be a black woman on television. Julia was a hit, but Hollywood wasn't quick to reward her bravery. Despite the success of Julia, Carroll didn't receive a flood of new offers. Unlike white actresses with similar ratings and accolades, she was quietly boxed out of major opportunities. She was labeled difficult for questioning scripts and asking for better representation. Behind the glamour, there was friction, because Carroll expected more than tokenism. Her elegance became a double-edged sword. Producers admired her image, but not her voice. She wanted layered roles. They wanted a symbol. She sought truth. They preferred simplicity. Carroll once remarked, "They saw the gowns, the posture, the diction, and assumed I didn't have opinions. But I did. I always did. And that's what made her dangerous." In the 1980s, Carroll made a triumphant return as Dominique Devereaux on Dynasty. She wasn't just a supporting player, she was a rival to the show's iconic Alexis Carrington, and Carroll came in swinging. "I want to be the first black beach on TV," she told producers, a statement both bold and symbolic. She wasn't interested in being polite, she wanted power and presence. As Dominique, she wore couture, delivered savage one-liners, and held her own in a world of white wealth and drama. Black audiences saw her as a queen. Viewers finally saw a rich, glamorous black woman who wasn't comic relief or tragedy porn. But even then, she had to fight for screen time and meaningful storylines. Carroll demanded parity with her white co-stars, and she didn't always get it. Joan Collins called her regal and aware, always aware of what wasn't being said. And that awareness led Carroll to call out tokenism long before it became a buzzword. While the media loved Carroll's red carpet looks and fashion spreads, they often ignored what she was actually saying. Her beauty became a headline, her activism, a footnote. She played the game gracefully, but always on her terms. Sidney Poitier once said, "Diahann was never afraid of being the only one in the room. She was unshakable, and she had to be. Her refusal to shrink made her a target. Her opinions made her tricky. And her visibility, though groundbreaking, didn't come with the same rewards as others." Younger generations never forgot her. Kerry Washington tweeted, "If it wasn't for Diahann Carroll, there'd be no Olivia Pope." Viola Davis called her a pathmaker and a symbol of what we can be when we are fully seen. Carroll's legacy didn't scream, it echoed, quietly shaping every black actress who dared to lead with grace and authority. In her later years, Carroll took on roles that reminded audiences why she was a legend. On A Different World, she played Whitley's mother, stealing scenes with style and humor. On Grey's Anatomy, she was Jane Burke, a matriarch with dignity and edge. These weren't pity roles, these were crowns. She also mentored young artists and remained outspoken about the gaps in representation. "I want them to spend more time creating and less time justifying," she said of future Black performers. Until her passing in 2019, she continued attending industry events, speaking on panels, and encouraging others to dream without compromise. Diahann Carroll wasn't just the first, she was the blueprint. She proved that elegance didn't mean silence, that beauty didn't mean compliance, and that talent wasn't enough if you weren't willing to fight for your truth. She challenged the system not by tearing it down, but by showing what it could be if it dared to evolve. Hollywood loved her face, but feared her voice. And while she opened doors, she was often denied the spotlight she helped build. But her story doesn't end in neglect, it ends in legacy. So the next time you see a Black woman leading a network drama, commanding the stage, or delivering lines in couture, remember who did it first, and remember why she had to fight so hard to do it. Diahann Carroll didn't just challenge racism, she exposed it, with class, with courage, and with undeniable grace. Being the first is often celebrated but rarely understood. Diahann Carroll's journey wasn't paved with praise and open doors. It was carved out of resistance, microaggressions, and cultural gatekeeping. To be the first Black woman on primetime TV meant carrying the weight of an entire community's hopes while also dealing with the fears and insecurities of an industry that wasn't ready for her. Hollywood praised her performance, but it was clear they didn't want a pattern to follow. Carroll's career reveals a cycle seen in many trailblazers: offer a platform, then quietly erase. Her legacy had to be preserved by fans, scholars, and the next generation, because the system she changed never truly changed for her. Diahann Carroll represented more than visibility. She embodied transformation. She wasn't just included. She redefined what inclusion could look like. She didn't just want to be on screen. She wanted to be seen fully as a woman with ambition, agency, and complexity. And she did it in a time when simply asking for that was considered rebellion. Her courage resonates today, not because she was flawless, but because she was real. Her life is a masterclass in what happens when someone refuses to be boxed in, by beauty standards, by racial expectation, or by industry rules. And for every actress now gracing a billboard, red carpet, or award stage, there's a little bit of Diahann Carroll in their story, whether they know it or not. Because some legacies aren't just earned, they're fought for.